Economic Development Organization meeting will come to order. This is a special meeting called with 3 agenda items, and actually a 4th was added. Welcome. Glad to have everyone here this evening. We will proceed then with a roll call.
Mayor Wolgast?
Here.
Councilmember Hiller?
Here, and I am voting as proxy for Jeff Cohen today.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Cohen? Councilmember Tony Emerson?
Here.
Councilmember Michelle De La Isla?
Here.
Councilmember Sandra Clare? Councilmember Sylvia Ortiz? Councilmember Brendan Jensen?
Present.
Councilmember Elaine Schwartz? Councilmember Richard Harmon?
Here.
And Shawnee County Commissioners Kevin Cook?
Here.
Commissioner Bob Archer?
Here.
And Commissioner Shelley Bueller.
Commissioner Shelley Bueller is out of the state at a family funeral, and Deputy Mayor Jeff Cohen could not be here due to a business conflict, and as indicated, Councilwoman Karen Hiller, I received his written note that she is his proxy for voting this evening. Board members, you have before you the agenda. We have one change to the agenda, item 5, the approval of the Project Morris incentive agreement has been pulled. The contract is not ready to come before the board this evening. With that, we will go to action item 3, if the clerk would read.
3 is approval of the May 10th, 2017 JEDO board meeting minutes.
You have before you the board minutes from the May 10th meeting. Are there any corrections or your action? Councilwoman De La Isla.
Move for approval.
It's been moved to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Archer has second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
We have 6 yes.
6 having voted yes, the minutes are approved. We go to action item 4, and East Topeka Learning Center, if the clerk would read.
4 is an update on the East Topeka Learning Center and approval of contract between Washburn University and JEDO regarding the East Topeka Learning Center.
You have the agreement in your material. We will have the Assistant City Attorney provide an overview of the significant items of the agreement.
All right, thank you. This is a 3-party agreement between JEDO, Go Topeka, and Washburn University. And over the summer, the attorneys for the parties met with Dr. Mazachek from Washburn and Barbara Stapleton from Go Topeka. In a nutshell, JEDO will lease the building to Washburn for 10 years, starting July 1st of 18, or if the building renovations take a little bit longer than when Washburn takes occupancy. Washburn will pay utilities, property insurance premiums, liability insurance premiums. They will be responsible for maintaining and repairing the property. Washburn will then provide educational programming based upon high-wage, high-demand data. Initially, that'll be commercial truck driving, building technology, healthcare, adult education, literacy services, GED classes. The contract that you have before you provides that these classes will start in August of 2018. But to accommodate some of the delays that are anticipated in the renovation, the parties would like to change that date to programming that will commence no later than January of 2019.
Excuse me, and what page is that on?
That is section 22 of the contract. I don't know what page it is. Page 12.
Yeah, page 12.
Go Topeka will reimburse Washburn for operating expenses during the first 3 academic years. $500,000 per year, won't exceed a total of $1.5 million. That's section 27. Should you desire to approve the contract, the motion would be, I move to approve the ETLC contract with a change in section 22 reflecting that the programming start date will start no later than January of 2019. I will stand for questions. Barbara Stapleton, Dr. Mazachek are both present in case you have any questions of them.
Okay, are there first questions on the agreement to the attorney? Okay, seeing none, I'd ask Dr. Mazachek to come forth and give us a review from the perspective of Washburn University, and if there are questions.
Washburn University is very excited about this project. We're dedicated to making it successful and providing the educational opportunities to that east side of Topeka, Kansas that we haven't been able to do in the past. And we are dedicated to find those programs that are going to make the biggest difference and make sure that that is what we can offer in that facility. We're grateful to be a partner with Go Topeka and JEDO on this very important project for Topeka, Kansas.
Are there questions, comments? Yes, Commissioner Archer.
Dr. Mazza, was there anything, and I mean anything, that Washburn wanted in this agreement or in the program that wasn't granted?
Okay, I have to think. Commissioner Archer, no, I don't believe
Okay.
so. This actually, the process that we went through to negotiate this contract and the verbiage on the contract was very collaborative, and I would say we walked away, all of the parties, with what we felt like was very fair.
Okay, but everything Washburn needs to be successful for the next 10 years, 20 years, at the East Topeka Learning Center, we're providing.
That you can possibly provide, yes.
That's what I need to
Yes.
know. Thank you.
Now, if
okay.
you can provide, Commissioner Archer, absolutely guarantee students will come to our door, that would be the best thing you can.
No, that's what you're gearing.
That's your agreement. Okay.
You've misunderstood it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Are there other questions? Thank you. Thank you very much. Barbara Stapleton, would you address us briefly on the, from the Go Topeka perspective and your role here?
Certainly, thank you. Mary asked me to give you an update upon when this agreement, if this agreement is approved this evening, what the next steps would be upon approval of the agreement and the signing of the agreement. What we would do then we would enter, the chairman of JEDO would sign the agreement with the design firm that has already been approved by the JEDO board. So we'd move forward with the design process and the demolition and the remodel process. It would approve that portion of moving forward with the project. We would also look at entering into the engagement letter with Columbia Capital for the new market tax credits, which you have received information related to that. That is just an engagement letter to ask for them to resource those funds. It doesn't commit us to moving through that entire process if you chose to do something differently for those partnership funds at a later time. But that would be the next step for that. We've already moved forward with the zoning, and that will be heard, I believe, by the city council the first Tuesday or the second Tuesday in August. So that's coming up. The planning commission already voted and approved that. It's a change to IO2, if I'm saying that right, I believe, because it's currently zoned residential. So they're changing that so that it would cover institutional office space. And I believe that touches on everything, kind of the initial next steps. We also do have it, but I know you have a vote pending right now. Lalo Munoz, who is our co-chair for the East Topeka Learning Center Task Force that we've convened, as well as a member of this election committee for a market study that the task force has requested here this evening to present that, which he can do after your vote, or he could do now.
Well, it was my intention to ask Mr. Munoz to come up and also address, if he would do. Are there questions for Barbara in any area? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we now have a question.
I do have one. Well, City Attorney Feeney explained that we needed to change the date in here because of some delays. Could you just explain briefly?
Really, I would say the delays aren't so much related to the construction as making sure that we got the agreement in place and getting the timing in terms of the date for the approval of the agreement, because we committed to JEDO that we wouldn't move forward with any additional fund expenditures until we had that agreement in place. So we put things on hold. So that forces the design and that process and the planning and the demo to be on hold by about 2 months so far.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I know we can start early, I'm sure. If it would be early, if it's done in September, there's no problem.
Absolutely.
But make sure we don't hold them to it. We want to wait till the first of the year.
Right.
Thank you. Lalo Munoz is a co-chair of the East Topeka Learning Center Task Force.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, Barbara. Yes, as Barbara said, my name is Lalo Munoz. I'm the co-chair of the East Topeka Learning Center, together with Glenda Du Bois, who is serving as chair. Since we last reported on May 10th to JEDO, we convened a task force. That task force has met 3 times, and we've been able to give feedback on the agreement while council has worked to finalize that agreement, which you have in front of you this evening. We've also moved forward moved the discussion forward to ensure project success by creating an RFP for a market study. This market study is going to provide measurable insights into the programs most in demand for students, as well as the support services most needed by students to ensure project success. This selection committee has formed, selection committee for this RFP has been formed. We have 6 organizations that have expressed interest in this RFP. We've conducted initial proposal evaluations this week. Reference calls have been made, and respondents selected for interviews will be notified on Friday. We foresee 2 final respondents for this for interviews, and we'll make a selection on August 15th and present that recommendation to the JEDO board on September 13th for your review. This funding for the market study will be shared by the East Topeka Learning Center Project Contingency Funds, by EMBD, as well as Washburn University.
Okay. Thank you. Are there questions? Any discussion? Councilman Hiller?
Thank you, Mayor. Reference was made a little earlier, somewhat in jest, but about marketing strategy to make sure that once the needs are determined, that we're successful in reaching out and actually engaging those prospective students. Is that included in the deliverables for the study as well, the strategy?
Strategy. That is one thing that we're looking at, is how are they going about to solicit feedback from those communities and from those neighborhoods. I think it's important is how they have the experience in engaging communities such as East Topeka, and who has the best strategy, we feel, to make sure that we truly understand where these communities are, what they need in order to make sure this is a successful project.
My question was regarding, once that's determined, the marketing strategies to actually engage those students and get them in the door.
So the feedback collected from this market strategy, in my mind, is just the first step. My job, as well as Glenda, is going to be to go out into the community and really talk up this program, talk about the importance of it, how it can change communities, and build support from the ground up. And so a very grassroots approach to making sure that communities know what services are going to be available through this educational programs, and try and ensure that this program is well-known, and that there's no rock left unturned in terms of groups and organizations in East Topeka, so that when the day comes that doors open, there's those students show up.
Dr. Mazachek, do you want to comment also?
Your reinforcements in the rear here.
What Lalo said is exactly correct. It will require community members to be actively involved in promoting the programs at the East Topeka Learning Center. However, we anticipate that the firm that we will get to hire, whichever firm that it is, will provide us some insight into what would be the best methodology for getting the news or the story out to prospective students, and how we will need to approach them to ensure that they hear about the programs, and that we make it possible for them to enroll. But it's important to note that it will be a multi-channel strategy, and Lalo is right. We know that the community leaders are going to, and their voices are going to make the biggest difference. But we do anticipate they'll give us insight into that, how we can best market.
Cal, thank you. Councilman Jensen?
Thank you, Your Honor. So just out of curiosity, is there a reason to purchase a study rather than just spend that money on advertising?
I think our initial thought is that East Topeka is a unique area, and we don't want to assume that that what has been offered at Washburn Tech will work. Although we have a strong suspicion it may work, we want to ensure that we understand the community as best as we can. This market study will give us those insights to make sure that we hit it out of the ballpark when it comes time to opening day.
I see. So this is more about determining what types of programs to offer rather than how to reach out to the communities.
As well as the support services that are going to be needed to make sure these students are as successful as possible.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman DeLisa.
Thank you, Mayor Wolgass. I was just wanting to congratulate the team that is working on this. At first, I was a little taken aback to hear that we were going to have a delay on when the project was going to start. But when I heard that part of the delay was that we were going to take the time to have an understanding of what the community needs were and what the best approaches were going to be and how those students are going to be made to be successful once they're in that program. It was excellent. And just for those of you that don't know the other people that were in the meeting that I saw, Lalo Munoz was there, like they mentioned, Glenda Du Bois was there, and in addition, Lazone Grays. So it was very exciting to see that we have a battery of individuals that are very rooted in our community, making sure that this project is successful.
Very good. Okay, other questions for Mr. Munoz? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Thank you. Board members, any other discussion? Your pleasure. Councilwoman DeLisa? And it's your district, so.
I will second.
You will second that we approve the agreement as stated. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Do we need to state that we need to amend the date in there?
I think as you read it,
Yes.
is that appropriate, or do we need a separate motion?
No, you can just do it all in one motion to approve the contract with a change to Section 22 reflecting the new start date.
Yeah. So that was the motion. That was the way it was moved and second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
We have 6.
6 having voted yes. I'm sorry, I have someone for public comment, and I missed. So if needed, we can re-vote if that it becomes necessary. But we have someone for public comment, Joe Ledbetter.
Is that me?
Sure, please. And I apologize that we got the train going and we didn't see it in
I
time.
understand. We're excited to get this going. Joseph Lovo, governing body of JEDO. For many months, I've supported this with Matt ever since Matt brought it up, and it's very exciting. It's actually a military reserve center. It's built very well. It's going to be exciting to see that repurposed into an education facility for the east side that'll probably serve zip codes 07 and 05 a lot more than what we've got now. I do anticipate that Highcrest and NetReach will do what they can to utilize that facility and help make it successful. And I think that the fact that we'll now have GED programs on the east side is a big thing. And obviously, I continue to support this. The contract looks very well done, and looks like everybody participated and is well served. So I am in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And so we will, that completes the action on item 5. I'm sorry, item 4. Item 5 has been pulled from the agenda, so we'll proceed to item 6. Clerk would read.
6 is approval of contract with Tilson Technology Management for broadband consulting services.
And I call on Mark Biswell, the IT director for the city, who is sort of speaking on behalf of the IT committee that did the work in this process.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'm here to discuss the proposed contract with Tilson Technology Management for broadband consulting services and to answer any questions regarding the proposed contract. As you recall, the JEDO board authorized Jay Euler and Mary Feeney to enter into contract negotiations with Tilson Technology Management and to create a resulting contract at the last JEDO meeting. You should find information in your agenda items that contain a cover letter and a copy of the proposed contract. And at this point, I would stand for questions. Does anybody have questions regarding the contract?
Right, actually, the contract is only 5 pages, so it's a very short contract implementing or putting into the aspect that we send out the proposals, and then actually all the rest of the material there is the Tilson proposal of, Tilson response, and there in our agenda background for that. Is there any questions? I know we also have here from the other members of the committee is Gina Millsap of the library, Pat Alblander, the Shawnee County IT Director, Patrick Clear, Auburn Washburn Public Schools IT Director. They served, as well as Barbara Stapleton, the committee that studied this and reviewed them and bringing this recommendation to us. Any discussion? Commissioner Archer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Mark. I think it's important that the public knows that we're spending $205,000 on this project. I think it would be helpful for the public if you would tell us a little bit about the contractor we're going to be working with, and then what the end result is going to be and what we're going to get for our $205,000.
Okay. Well, I want to start with the objective that we set forth at the very beginning of this. And our objective is to address the region's economic and community development, as well as quality of life through improving countywide access and utilization of sufficient, reliable, and affordable broadband services. Through the RFP selection process, we reviewed all the responses, the review team did. We also contacted references for the top 3, and we feel that Tilson will be able to help us best meet that objective.
Okay, so what's going to be the outcome? What are we going to learn?
Again, to try to provide high-speed broadband internet services to Topeka and Shawnee County.
But we're not going to get that for $205,000.
No, sir.
What are we getting for $205,000? I'm trying to get at,
That would be
Mark.
the consulting services that's provided by Tilson to help us put out an RFI to gather information from prospective vendors or people that would like to partner with this opportunity, and then to put out an RFP to contract with a contractor to provide those services.
Okay, they'll be given various vendors.
Could be various vendors. We're really strongly pushing public-private partnerships. So,
And in some communities, there is support. The vendors are interested in this, and as far as the cost, there's different ways and that's what we also will be finding out.
that's correct. Looking for the best cost model, trying to form those public-private partnerships, we believe are very important.
Okay. Other questions, discussion? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor. So
Jensen.
if I understand this correctly, basically the purpose of this consultant is to help explore how different and emerging technologies could be leveraged to build basically rural broadband. And
Correct.
So if I'm right, they're going to write this proposal will go out, a vendor will come in and explore all the technology options, and then recommend some for our area, and then with that, they'll craft another proposal that will go out to vendors that could then implement some of these new and emerging technologies that, in theory, would then help provide broadband to areas where it's just not cost-effective for traditional wireline carriers to service. Am I correct?
Correct.
Does that make a little bit more sense?
So it's basically a model where there's subsidies, kind of like old phone service.
It could be. It's more about technology changes so rapidly, it's impossible for everyone on the ground to have some idea what's new. And if there's new technology that can provide service to areas like long-range, high-speed Wi-Fi, that sort of thing is still fairly new. And so this would explore new technology, and then we could use that information to go out and basically request businesses to submit proposals to implement that technology that would then service the areas where Cox and AT&T can't.
So it's a smart thing to do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it isn't necessarily cable.
No, that's true. I mean, there's
that's what-
brand new technology out there that, we don't even know about, quite frankly,
Or
because it
towers
changes so rapidly.
or whatever. Okay.
Absolutely.
Other questions? Councilman Hiller.
Just to clarify, I know we've talked about it before, but will this master plan be just for the areas outside the city limits, or will it demonstrate a way that we have 100% coverage, including downtown and inside the city and out?
Yes, all of Shawnee County, including the city limits of Topeka.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Other questions? Discussion? Your pleasure. Councilwoman DeLisa moves to approve the contract with Tilson Technology Management.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll second.
Commissioner Cook seconds. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
We have 6.
6 having voted yes, the contract is approved. We have next discussion, item 7, the clerk would read.
49th Street Improvement Project update.
Good
Yes.
evening. I just wanted to give you all an update on where we are on improving the 49th Street that runs through Central Crossing Commerce Park. So you'll remember in February you approved funding of $2.1 million with a portion of that funding coming from a benefit district. So we engaged with Bartlett & West as the design firm, and Bartlett & West has reached out to all the landowners in the adjacent area to get them to sign the petition saying they agree with this benefit district. So we've gotten signatures from all the landowners except for one. That one has promised their signature next week. And so with that has delayed the construction timeline a little bit. So we were posed with looking at continuing with the process right now and doing bids and then starting the construction and then most likely having to stop for winter and then picking back up again in the spring construction season. And so what we're recommending is to go ahead and move forward with the bid process in early fall to get those contractors the information and then start and stop in one construction season. So then to wait and start this project in the spring so that the road won't have to be closed due to the weather conditions and the stoppage of that construction. So that's the plan going forward. It's still going to move forward. We just need to look at the best uses of those dollars and the timeline for that construction. So that's the timeline adjustment. And as far as the design plans, the final designs are supposed to go to the city next week. So that process has been moving smoothly, and there were some minimal changes that needed to be addressed, and I think those are dealt with, and so that should be finished as far as administrative items next week. And then we will move forward with selecting a date to put those bids out and then move forward with construction in the spring. So
Okay.
I will stand for questions.
Any other questions for Molly? Councilman Emerson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Molly, will this have any effect? I know we were trying to attempt to kind of accelerate the schedule in order to make us more viable for some of the deals.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. When we first brought this up, it was kind of one of those deals where this is the last road in the park that needs to be finished. We have the money. Let's move forward and get it done. And also, we had a project that is looking at building along that road, and they will need that road for the project. That project is still in the pipeline. We are still one of the finalists in that short list. However, they have pulled back and are reassessing their product lines. It's a consumer goods product, so they're looking at sales numbers and things like that to reassess that expansion. So luckily, they've slowed down, so we won't be slowing them down by moving the construction time.
Okay, thank you. Good point. Thank you. Good point.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for Molly? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We then go to public comment. Mr. Joe Ledbetter. Okay, thank you. Carol Marple.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and this is totally off topic of what you have been discussing, but I think it is pertinent. I have a question that I've been trying to get answered with no success, so I'm going to ask it here, because I think everyone, you're involved in this. I have to give just a little bit of background because I don't have time to go into a lot. And please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong at any time. The Shawnee County Commissioners asked the Shawnee County Planning Department and RDG Planning and Design to come up with a long-range comprehensive plan for Shawnee County. One of the statistics that was provided that in 2016, the market value of agriculture products that were produced in this county was $50,257,000. These dollars are vital to the economic health of Shawnee County. One of the proposals that is included in this 2037 comprehensive plan is that prime farmland should be designated as an exclusive farm use area. The next question that a person would ask would be, what is prime farm ground? And we were given a definition of what this is. And as you read it, just about every acre that is agriculture is prime farmland. So, this is my question. Topeka currently owns 530.64 acres of land in Shawnee County. Every one of those acres is appraised as agricultural land. Okay, and I got this directly from the county appraiser's website. You all know my thoughts that some of this land does not deserve to be appraised as agricultural, but that's another subject. So this is my question. If this 2037 comprehensive plan is passed by the county commissioners, this land that Topeka owns, by definition, will become exclusive for farm use acres. How can it be developed? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carol. And I'm sure there will be a way that we can respond to that when we get the appropriate information so that it can be responded to. That completes the public comment for this evening. The next JEDO meeting is our quarterly meeting, which is September the 13th, which happens to be 7 weeks from tonight. And perhaps at that point, we will handle the Project Morris incentives. Is there any other business before the body? Seeing none, we are adjourned. 6:32.